Hey y'all, this is Timeka, the face behind Heyyy HR, and I am so excited to tell you guys all about the top 3 resume mistakes that are constantly being made and holding you from being the top competitor for any job that you apply to. So many times we get frustrated because we apply like crazy. We're constantly waiting to see what happens with this job or that job. And at the end of the day, we don't get the response we're looking for. We get a rejection, we get ghosted, we don't hear anything. We get one interview and then it doesn't go any farther. And most times that interview that we got is really just a screening, not technically an interview. But the best thing to do is make sure that your resume is positioning you well. I always tell everyone, your resume is like your billboard. It speaks for you. It's your first impression these days. You're not going in to literally write out an application and submit it to a person so that they can see you. They're looking at you by paper. So you have to make sure that your resume is in the right spot. If you want to know how to make sure that you are turning these resumes into job interviews and job offers, then you definitely want to keep watching. The first issue that I constantly see is that applicants or anyone who's looking for a new job will constantly put so much emphasis behind the companies. They're putting all of this excitement and attention on the companies versus themselves. You have to highlight yourself. Don't waste your time talking about how great this company is, that this is a publicly traded company, that it's this and that, and then dumb down your skills. You have to put more energy into yourself than you are the company. One thing that I'll constantly see is that people will put in bold, capital letters, the name of that company that they work for. I get it, it's a great company, but we really want to see the job title. So instead of putting that company name in bold or capital letters, put your job title there. Matter of fact, change the color a little bit. Something nice and subtle, a little navy blue or something like that. Nothing red or orange or yellow, but you definitely want to put an emphasis on the job titles that you've held. Stop putting all this emphasis on these companies. Stop talking about how much the company has made within a month. Stop talking about how the company has done this or done that. Talk about what you've done. Make sure that in those bullet points, you talk about how you've transformed that company. You're really going to have to get comfortable, you know, talking about yourself. This is where imposter syndrome hits us because we feel like, oh, am I that great? Listen, even if you aren't that amazing that you think you are, I want you to show it. Because honestly, if you guys pay attention to all your past experience, you really are that great. I'll give you an example. While I was recruiting, which everybody who's been watching Heyyy HR for a while, you know that I'm not recruiting anymore. But while I was recruiting, when I first started as a senior talent acquisition specialist, I used to work on one type of job for one business unit. I used to take 45 to 60 days to extend a job offer. I used to take forever to go through candidates and go through these applications. Over time, what I started doing was, not only did I start working for multiple business units, but I shortened the time it took me to extend a job offer. I also increased my candidate pool. So instead of just waiting on people to apply, I went out and I sourced and I found them. And so what I would do on that bullet point, obviously I would say, started with the company working on X, however many positions or requisitions I did, increased the number of requisitions to this, and decrease my time to fill from this to this. I'm going to talk all about myself and how amazing I am. So you guys are going to have to pay attention to, like, what are some of the things that you're doing for these companies? How are you making it happen? How are you improving your skills? How are you getting more comfortable with the job? How are you not asking more questions? You should over time find yourself asking less questions and really talk about that in your resume. The only thing we really want to hear about this company is probably the industry, probably how big it is, probably the location or the type of dynamic that it had. If it had like multiple offices, and those multiple offices may have been across state, across the county, or even across the nation or globally. Yeah, you can give like a 1 or 2 liner about that company as a small overview. I don't emphasize that when you're fresh into your career and just starting. I highly emphasize pushing out your skills and how amazing you were and the transformation you did. And I probably shouldn't say the word amazing, because to be honest with you, I think that's the part that scares us, because we feel like, well, I'm not that amazing. Just talk about the transformation, how much you've improved, how much your skills have gotten better, how much you've gotten better on the job. Focus on that. The second issue that I see is that people will constantly put bullet points of every little thing they've ever done. They pretty much just regurgitate in the job description. No, you want to show that you've done movement within that. So you definitely want to use metrics, percentages, values. Like, you want to show how you've increased over time. Go back to that first example I did, right? I talked about the numbers that I pulled. I talked about how quick I did it over what period of time. That's what you want to do. So many times people will sit there and they will just say, process this, partnered with someone on this, did this, like all the regular daily stuff. Now, if you're working in the same career, and you guys know my channel all about HR professionals, so I'm gonna keep it focused on the HR example. If I know that as an HR assistant, a lot of the things that I did then, I also did as an HR generalist, I don't wanna post the same thing. I wanna show that my skills have evolved. So why would I just post that I processed I-9s, that I kept employee files current? I did that as an assistant. Now I wanna show what I did as a generalist. So though I did all those things as an assistant, I wanna keep those in my assistant area. And by the time I get to generalist, I wanna start posting out what I did amazing as a generalist specific, not just the day-to-day duties. Like, did I revamp the onboarding for new hires? Did I start doing a survey to make sure that I improve the onboarding process? What did I find myself processing more workers' comp and more FMLA claims? Like, that's the stuff you want to focus on, even though I know I still did all those things that I did as a generalist or as an assistant when I was still doing all of the phone calls or screening candidates or whatever. Yeah, I did that as a journalist, but now as a journalist, I'm also interviewing. I'm also partnering with the managers. So you really want to bring more emphasis as you increase in your career. Don't just list every little thing you did. And I want you guys to really focus on using strong adjectives to start that bullet point. Again, this resume is literally like your billboard. It's telling people how amazing you were. It's telling people how much you can transform their organization. It's telling people how quickly you can grab onto ideas. It's telling people how many different technology and software you've been exposed to. Like, your resume should be speaking amazing of you. Now, if you've never worked in human resources before, you're like, well, Timeka, what do I post? I just post what I do as, you know, a cashier at Target, right? Well, I'm not just going to post what I did as a cashier at Target. I'm going to look at the skills that I did that can transfer into human resources. So if I talk to different managers and communicated with them on regular things on a regular basis, I'm not going to say spoke with manager about shift changes for employees. I'm going to say coordinated with different stakeholders within the organization on a regular basis. Yeah, I might have just talked to them about shift changes for the staff, but that all relates to me being a cashier at Target. Now I have to look like a human resources professional. So my bullet point's going to change a little bit broader. So you can see I can still do the same thing. I just need to learn the lingo. And even as a cashier, you want to show transformations that you've done. So if you show that I went from working X number of hours to this number of hours, I went from handling X amount of money to handling this amount of money. You want to show that transformation as a cashier so that anyone can see that if she did this, or he, whomever, if they did this type of transformation as a cashier at Target, imagine what they do if I can just train them and give them the skills for this. So many times we get nervous. Okay, this ain't even a bullet point, but this is like an extra. But so many times people will get nervous, like, to me, they don't want to train me. If a company doesn't want to train you, you don't want to be there. I want to be with a company that's open to knowing they have to train me. I've been in HR for 10 years. And when I go to a new organization, I'm expected to get some type of training. The HR is going to be the same. The processes, the people I'm going to contact, the policies, they're going to be different. So somebody got to train me on some of those stuff. Then I can put in all my old skills to that new organization. All right, so now we're on mistake number 3. And then the mistake number 3 is a little vague, but I'm gonna break it down. Y'all give way too much information. Too much information. Don't waste your time if you're a U.S. candidate. So we're talking about U.S. candidates. When you're talking about globally, it's a little bit different. But here in the U.S., it's not a requirement that you put the year that you graduate. It's not a requirement that you put the year that you may have gotten this particular certification. Like, you can put the year that you completed it if you wanted, but you don't have to put like started this date to this date. Because now as you put like you finish high school, went to college, or maybe went to tech school, then went to college, then went to grad school, I can kind of estimate how old you are. You really don't need to do that. I don't have dates for all of my degrees on my resume. I just don't, because I don't want to give away those protected EEOC rights. You're already protected by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, where you don't have to give your age. You can't be, or a hiring manager should not be determined if you're the person based on your age. So don't give them low factors out there. Another thing that can go into dates is If you know you were at a company for, okay, I was here for 3 years and then I was only here for a year, then I was here for 6 months, and then I went here for 5 years. You can just put the years. You don't have to put the month and the year or the exact date. Just put the year. So many times on my background screening videos, people will say, well, Timeka, I didn't put the exact dates. Is this going to hold me up on my background screening? Well, if you just put the year, then you should be solid. Stop putting the exact dates. Then nobody have to worry about if you put the right month or the right date, because that kind of stuff can hold you up in your background screening. I'm kind of off target too, because that didn't pertain to this as much as I thought it should. Another thing is, don't put experience past 10 years. I've been in HR a little over 10 years. My first 3 jobs, like HR assistant, HR specialist, HR generalist, like those jobs, I just literally put the company name, I put the job title, I put the years that I worked there, and I put the location. I don't worry myself with putting all the duties, because your skills have already evolved. So nobody really cares about those duties, because if you're doing the things at these higher positions as an HR business partner, a senior talent acquisition specialist, then you damn sure should know how to do this stuff as an HR assistant. So I don't need to see those little things that you've done there. We already know you did it. If it's over 10 years, it doesn't pertain to the job that you're applying to, don't put it at all. You don't need to put that there. Most companies are only going to ask for 10 years. If they want more than 10 years, they don't have to have 10 years. Like, you guys literally can work around the application on that. But don't worry about putting that on your resume at all, because honestly, that's just too much information. You're giving folks a chance to start thinking all around the place, and they shouldn't be thinking about it. Honestly, if you found yourself having like a part-time job while you're working a full-time job in your career, don't worry about putting that part-time job. That was to help you make ends meet. I've always had part-time jobs, like majority of my career. And I'm gonna do another video to tell y'all about some of my side hustles that I did to help get my salary meeting where it needed to be until I could get to a salary where I depended on one paycheck. But to be honest with you, I don't have any of those part-time jobs on my resume at all. That's something you can hit on in an interview. That's something you can hit on in your first 90 days, so they can be like, oh my God, she's done amazing things. It always blows their mind away. They'll be like, you did that too? I did. Nope, no need to put it on my resume. And then don't highlight when you weren't working. So many times I'll see people put like, during this period I was a stay-at-home mom, during this period I was this, during this period I was laid off. No, just put the jobs that you actually worked. You don't have to justify that period of time that you weren't working. Let someone ask you that in an interview, and that'll give you a good opportunity to make it an easy blow for them for whatever reason you weren't working. And y'all got COVID on your side now. So many people wasn't working from 2020. Why you need to highlight that you weren't working? A lot of people weren't working. Now, I shouldn't do this because this is a little embarrassing. But I did do videos where I went through and I showed you guys how to do your resume like step by step. I got like 3 videos. I'm gonna try to put all of those in the description box below. I did a video that tells you how you can make a resume from Microsoft Word like scratch. I also told you how you can make one from a template to make things a little bit easier for you. I'm not a fan of templates, but if you want something to help you out, there are templates there too. And then I also tell you some professional must-haves for your resume. And so I'll put all of those in the description box. And from the last time I looked at them, not much has changed. I can't imagine that a ton has changed. A lot of valuable information. I still get comments where people are really finding it to be super duper helpful. And what I just may do is create a resume playlist. So don't be surprised if y'all see that pop up, because I think that you guys underestimate the power in your resume, and I want to make it super duper easy for you. So look for the playlist where I'm going to have, matter of fact, I'll just go ahead and put it there where I'm going to automatically have a whole playlist. I'll put that in the description box for you too. But I will tell you that if you're like, Timeka, I've done it all. I've watched all your videos. I've listened to everything you had to say. I've attended your lives. I've listened to other people as well. And I still can't get any interviews. Then guess what? I will review your resume. You can go to heyyhr.com and write on my Work With Me page, I believe it is. Yes, my Work With Me page. I have an option there where you can get a full resume review, and I give back tons of resources with that. So you not only get me, a 10-year HR professional that's reviewing your resume and going to give you a recorded video of everything. Like, I look at it fresh while I'm recording so you can see my initial reaction. But I also go through and I give you my ultimate resume guide that you get with the resume review. You also get a checklist that tells you a critique of your resume. Hey, don't do this. Bad idea doing this. And I will definitely go through and give you some buffer information to help you out there. Listen, y'all, I'm trying to set you up for success. You just gonna have to take this. I'm taking the horse to the water. I can't make you drink. But listen, I just want to see you come back to this video and comment, Timeka, this worked. and I have the job. That's all I get so excited about. For those of you who are new to HR, I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope you found it so helpful that you decide to subscribe, because I promise you, I'll just be so happy to see that you just subscribed. I'll be so happy to see that you comment and tell me you subscribed. I always, so far, I'm replying to all comments. I think that's going to continue, but right now it is getting a bit overwhelming. For those of you who are returning, I hope that you found something new to help you get to that next level. And if you already like, Timeka, thank you for this video, but listen, you already got me there, then please put that in the comments below. I cannot wait to see you guys on the next video.